As we get started, I'd like to show you just 3 models of technology integration. I refer to these pretty often as I'm planning and designing my lessons because they help me to remember to try and push myself and try and build my own capacity for integrating technology in new and different ways. The first one is called the TPAC Model. And if you look at the bottom part of your screen, you can see that at the very lowest end of the spectrum of technology integration, we have technology being used as a substitute. So, for example, you may have had a lesson where students had to write something by hand. And if you're using technology as a substitution, the students may use a word processing program instead of writing something by hand. And that would be sort of the lowest end of technology integration. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's important for us to remember that we have to start somewhere, but wherever you are in the spectrum, always try and push yourself to do new and different things. If you look at the very highest end of the spectrum of technology integration, you see technology being used to redefine tasks and create new tasks that were previously inconceivable. So, for example, instead of having students talking in partners or in groups, you could have students working through Google Docs or Edmodo, which would be sort of an online collaborative discussion. And before the existence of those things, we could not have done it that way. Another model of technology integration is called the SAMR Model, and it's basically the same thing as the first one. At the top there, you have substitution, and it gives you an example of how technology would be used to substitute for something else. Then you move up to augmentation, where you might let students use some other features of technology to improve the task. And then you get into modification, but at the highest end, again, you have technology being used to redefine tasks, to do new things that's never been done before. Now, the easiest model of technology integration is the RealMood Model, and this is the one that I created when I talked to counselors in my district and even teachers at my school. At the lowest end, you have technology being used as a presentation tool. So, for example, you have a lesson that's a PowerPoint, or you're using a smart board or a Promethean board or some other interactive whiteboard, where your students are just looking at the information on the screen. There's no interaction. And that's okay. There's a time and a place for that. But then as you move up the spectrum, you get into technology being used for interaction. And that would be students getting up, coming up to the smart board, manipulating things on the screen, or students using computers in the classroom, interacting with websites, playing online games, and that kind of thing. And if you're using technology for presentation purposes, it's okay. I do the same thing from time to time. But in the back of your mind, always try and think of, how can I do this differently? How can I incorporate some technology interaction